Hello. I have chosen to do my empathy assignment with my mom. She did not want to be in a video, which I totally understand. So I'll present the topic and I'll give both of our opinions. So the issue that we went back and forth on is whether or not I should continue to go to school, like Ohlone, or and then like from Ohlone transfer to like a 4 year CSU or something like that. Um, Her stance on it is that I definitely should, no matter what. Um, she kind of doesn't even want to budge on the topic. My stance is that after I had gone to San Jose State for a while and it didn't work out for me. And I thought maybe now that I'm older and more mature, that it would work out for me. But upon returning to school, I just kind of quickly realized that the traditional format of schooling is really not for me and that I thrive in more of like a trade school type of environment and program. So I've chosen not to come back to Ohlone after this semester is over. And she definitely had feelings about it. Um, I think that my position on this topic is correct because I know myself really well. I'm, I'm not a kid. I'm not 18 years old. I'm about to be 31. And I actually have been in a 4 year university before, so I've experienced it. I went for about 3 years, and it totally was not for me. It was not the best way for me to learn. I didn't have a good experience. I gave it my best, and it just didn't work out for me. Um, Again, like I said, I thought that after I think it's been like 11 years or something like that since I've been in a traditional like classroom type of setting, even though you could argue that like Zoom classes are totally non-traditional, but either way, um, you know, after coming back and following that format of quizzes, homework, lecture, I've just sort of realized that it's not how I thrive. And so, yeah, I know myself better than anyone. And I have completed like several trade school format programs, and I've like really thrived and done great in them. And so, yeah, that's why I think that I'm right, because I just am. I mean, I just know myself really well, and I know that this is not the best environment for me. I think that my mom is wrong because she doesn't really take my perspective into account. She just sees only what's in front of her, which is that she wants me to get a degree from a 4 year university. She thinks that that's really the only way that I can be like educated, and that's the only way that I'm going to be able to make money or take care of myself in the future. Um, and she's super rigid on it. Like, her and I had words about it, and she was really not budging. Even when I was trying to explain my point of view to her, she was literally like subconsciously shaking her head no at me. And when I brought it to her attention, she like didn't even realize that she was doing it. So she's very much like dug her heels in, and she does not think that like an alternative trade or school will really be beneficial for me. Um, it is hard for me to agree with her or say that she's right, but if I'm thinking of her perspective, I know that my mother just wants me to be taken care of and secure financially, and not she doesn't want me to worry about money. I don't think she's worried about whether I'm like rich or not. I think she's just wants me to be stable and able to take care of myself and not have to rely on like a partner or my parents or any other type of alternative living situation in order to be able to support myself financially or feel financially stable and secure. I totally get it. I think that she also wishes that she had gone to a 4 year college, and she didn't. So I think she also kind of has those like hopes for me because she really wants me to do it because she didn't have a chance to do it. And again, I totally understand that too, but like she can't live vicariously through me successfully. Like it's not a situation that's going to make either of us happy in the end. But I do understand where she's coming from in terms of like having a degree, even though there's no real guarantees with anything, it still is more security and will put you ahead of somebody on paper, like on your resume for a job, like job consideration and things like that. So I do understand where she's coming from, and I think in that sense she does have a point, like just in that black and white sense of like, you know, being looking better than somebody on paper and having a leg up and being able to get a better job that will give me better insurance, better benefits, etc., based on me having attended a 4-year university. And I think maybe I'm wrong because I'm not really giving it fully a chance. Um, I'm not opening myself up to the full on like possibility of attending a 4-year university. I've kind of shut it out just in the same way that she has shut my perspective out. So I do agree that I'm a little bit rigid about it. Um, and although I do know myself really well, you know, maybe a shift in perspective for me would be beneficial as well. I think that we are actually both right. Um, Even as I'm just like speaking about it now, I see that we both have valid points. I think that I'm right because I know myself and I know how I feel when I'm in a vocational program or like a trade type of program. And I know how I feel when I'm in a classroom setting and, you know, how those two things differ. And I think she doesn't necessarily take that into account, but, you know, I think that I'm right in that sense. And I think that she's right in the ways that I mentioned before, that I should be giving it more of a chance and that I should be more open to the possibilities, and that, you know, having a degree does give you a little bit of a leg up, even though at this point I think we can all agree that it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. But in general, statistically speaking, like people with degrees tend to make more money or tend to be more financially stable and independent and, you know, are more in the percentage of like homeowners and things like that. I think we're both wrong because we both are very rigid in our perspectives. I think that's the biggest way that we're both wrong. I think that neither one of us wants to give the other one like the validation of, you know, okay, maybe you're right, or okay, maybe you have a point. Like, neither one of us want to do that. So I think in that way, we are both wrong and we're both like not giving each other enough credit, I guess, and not being open to seeing the other perspective. Like, I think that is the biggest challenge in this. And like, there's no real compromising because I'm I'm like independent and I'm an adult. And like I said, I'm not like 17, 18, straight out of high school, living at my parents' house, and they're kind of still really influencing the decisions I make. I'm a 31-year-old adult. I do live with my parents, but I'm very independent. I pay my own bills, I pay my own way. And, you know, I'm going to make the decisions ultimately for myself. But I think that we could be kinder to each other, more kind to each other, and more considerate of the other person's opinion. Definitely. I don't necessarily think that it's important which side is like right versus wrong, because it's a difference of opinion that ultimately, like, I'm the only one who has the ability to choose what I do. So whether I decide that I'm gonna like give my mom credit and go along with what she wants, um, just to validate her and like make her feel good and more comfortable and happy, or whether I decide that I'm just gonna do me and, you know, I'm gonna do my thing and do what I choose for myself and, you know, satisfy that for me. I think I'm the only one that's able to make that decision. So ultimately, it doesn't matter if we're both right or wrong. Um, I think that um, I've already decided what I want to do, and I think she knows that I'm already decided on what I want to do, and that ultimately I'm just going to make the choice I'm going to make. Um, so I think she does understand that. I don't think that she expects me to change my mind or something. Um, and like I said, I'm an adult, and I am a critical thinker, and I am highly critical of myself, and I do consider all of my options and like possible outcomes before I make decisions. So I think ultimately she trusts my judgment, and knows that I'm not like impulsive in that way. Like I'm just going to make some decision that's going to impact me in a really big way, without thinking it through first. I think she does give me credit for that for sure. Um, and the decision that I've made is to actually do a cosmetology program in like January or February, depending on where I'm at financially, in terms of saving at that point. And she's kind of come around, she has come around a little bit to the idea. And I think that she's a really great mom and she wants me to be happy ultimately. And so, she's not gonna like be mad at me forever or something if I don't make the decision that she wants me to make. We did give each other the silent treatment for 2 weeks, which was weird because my mom and I are really close, and like there's never a time where we're like not talking like that. So that was pretty intense. It definitely, like, this whole thing kind of stirred up a lot of feelings and stuff, but and like some disappointment, like I think she just really also wanted me to do it because she never did it and she didn't have the chance to, and it disappointed her that I wasn't interested in it. And I get that. There is definitely truth in all perspectives. I definitely see where she's coming from. If I had a child, which I don't, but if I did, I would want, as an adult and like a parent, you see things from a different perspective than your kid does. And I would want my kid to feel stable and feel supported. And, I would want to get, it's like you want so badly to give the guidance and to be heard because you think it's the right choice, but sometimes you just have to let it go. So there is truth in all of our perspectives for sure. Me being right, me being wrong, her being right, her being wrong. Like it's all valid. And it's just, I think it's more of an exercise in releasing control as a parent. And then me as an adult child, like being considerate of her feelings and, just recognizing that I'm always going to be her baby pretty much. And that she really just wants what's best for me. Um, I think that I am able to understand her perspective. This process was difficult for me. It wasn't difficult for me to analyze and talk about, but it was difficult for me to go through this with my mom because I don't fear judgment from anyone in the world except my parents. And not that they're going to judge me and hate me, but more so, I just don't want to disappoint them and I don't want them to think negatively of me or that I'm making terrible choices or something like that. Like, I want my parents to be proud of me. And so it really was hard for me to like speak my truth to them, my dad included, but more so me and my mom had kind of issue about it. But I think that ultimately it was great and we both kind of learned to let go and like be considerate and kind to each other even though we were having differences. I learned that it is important to just speak your truth, and I am lucky to have parents that are really supportive no matter what. And I know that they would never like abandon me or, disown me or something based on the decisions that I've made. But I needed to just feel nervous about telling them this and then tell them in order to get through it and figure that out. And that's really what I learned from it. And I learned that although I knew it already, like I know that my mom just wants the very, very best for me. And she just wants me to be happy and she wants me to be stable as an adult, like later in life. And I really appreciate that about her. And because she's faced hardships, as an adult, and she doesn't want me to go through that if I don't have to. So I do totally get it. But I've also learned that like I'm an independent thinker and I'm a creative person that needs creative work path. And I am okay with being non-traditional and not learning in a traditional way. So I've learned that to embrace that about myself more also. Overall, it's been a really great experience, and like me and my mom are totally back on speaking terms now, and she gets me, like she really does. I don't give her enough credit, but she totally understands me, and she doesn't judge me, and she's an awesome mom.